Good Morning Idaho.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Good Morning Idaho. We've got Jim Closson and the well-behaved Ava. She's sitting very nicely, and she knows I've got treats in my hand. It is 6:40 now, and sit meets sit time. So, Jim, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Okay, big things that we need to talk about today are keeping your pets safe during winter weather.
That's right. Out here, when you're taking your pets for a walk, and they need to be walked every day, but when they get home, you want to check between the pads of their toes, especially if you have a breed that has a longer coat that can pick up little ice balls where it can cut their pad, cut their toes. And one of the things you're seeing here with Ava is she's sitting on this little box. I don't know if they can zoom in on this, but the things that we teach our dogs is when they come through the door from a walk, we take them over to a placemat and we have them sit on it, and that way we can dry their feet off, we can check between their toes, we can look for little ice balls, we can look for snow, and we can eliminate it so it doesn't cut the dog's feet.
Okay, so how would you do this on Ava?
So what I teach the dogs is when we come through the door, that I lure them up onto the towel or the blanket or the bed, whatever you want to use for the dog, and they always get paid up on there until pretty soon they'll jump on there and sit and wait for it. Usually we'll take anywhere from 11 to 17 repetitions, but pretty soon you can come through the door like this. I'll go off camera for a moment. Okay, Ava, go to your place, get your feet ready.
And she knows her spot.
And she goes right back to her spot. And she'll sit and wait for us, even though I'm 10 feet away.
Right.
And she'll go there, and then I'll pay her, and I'll check her feet. We'll look between your toes. This gives you a chance to teach the dog to get their feet touched so you can do their nails. Right. And it's really a safety issue because if they come through and they have ice balls embedded in their toes, as they start to melt, they're going to get slick, but they can also cut the dogs. And we've seen a lot of clients' dogs come in where they didn't do this simple little tip, and the dog would get cut, and then they don't want to go for a walk, and a lot of things can happen from there.
Okay, Jim, what about de-icer and salt?
You know,
is that bad for the dogs?
Well, there is some that can lead to a dog getting a little bit sick from it. I haven't heard any cases where dogs have died from it, but you definitely want to play it safe.
Okay.
If we go out where there's places where there's a lot of de-icer on the ground, a lot of salt on the ground, I watch my dogs very closely so we don't have an accident. So it's better to be safe than sorry.
Is that bad for the pads on their feet? Does it dry it out at all?
Well, it will if they're on it too much.
Right.
So you want to just avoid certain areas where it's going to be at. So I'll take my dog up into an area where I know where there's a lot of grass that they can run and play on. I avoid taking them too close to busy roads where there's going to be the snow plows and the ice and the de-ice where they could lick it, they can adjust it, they can get in their feet. So just use a little common sense when you're out on the walk and avoid those certain areas.
Okay, and real quick, one last question I always wonder about too. My dog, I take her out, sometimes the ground is kind of icy and she just slides around.
Yeah, you want to be careful. A lot of dogs are not used to walking on that slick surface, and so not only do you need to be careful, you got to watch your dog. One of our clients took one of their old bulldogs out and the dog actually slipped on the ice and popped out its hip.
Oh no.
So be careful out there. Yeah, be very careful. Walk them in a harness if you have to. Walk them in a good leather leash so you can control their body so they don't have an accident.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. And good job today, Ava. Great tips. Stick around. Coming up on Fox 9, Jim and Ava will be back with much more winter weather tips for your pups.
You know, you see the weather outside. Sometimes you wish you were in Winslow, Arizona, right? We're welcoming back Jim Closson from Sit Means Sit. Thanks for joining us once again, Jim. Ava's really happy to be here as well. She gave me a little wave with her paw this morning.
She's doing that, yep.
She knows I've got some treats. I'm saving them because I want to reward her during this segment. But, you know, we were talking about some safety today that we wanted to go into with your dogs. Because in wintertime especially, I'm thinking you're doing a lot of car and sidewalk maintenance. And they're both things that could turn out potentially even deadly for your dog.
Oh, absolutely. So things like, the things that could be toxic to the dogs while making them really sick is your salt, your de-icer that you're going to put on the sidewalk. The things that could actually kill the dog are the antifreeze. And a lot of animals, cats and dogs, are attracted to the antifreeze by the sweet smell. But if you feel that you, there you go, Ava.
Oh, she's not even paying attention to me, and I have treats. She knows who her boss is.
But anyway, if you think your dog got into antifreeze in the garage or outside, I would rush them right into the veterinarian because it's better to be safe than sorry. It is toxic to the dogs. If they catch it quick enough, they can save your dog's life. And every year we hear stories of people losing their pets to licking up antifreeze.
And unfortunately, the pets like it too. It's got a flavor that they enjoy from
it's got a scent that it's got a scent that attracts them, a very sweet smell. They go and investigate, and animals will investigate with their nose and in their mouth, and the next thing you know, they're sick.
So you got to be very careful with that. Now, a little bit on the salts you were talking about as well. Yeah, is it worth just staying away from salts, or will they be okay if they walk on a little bit?
They'll be okay if you walk a little bit, but just use some common sense. You know, if you're taking your dog out and you see a a lot of de-icer on the sidewalk or on the road or on the salt, check their pads, make sure they're not dropping their nose down the ground and licking on it. When you get home from a walk, whether you saw the salts or the de-icer or not, if you're walking through the snow and the ice, when you get home, one of the things we teach our dogs, and you see Ava doing it right now, she's on a little platform. Now at home, we teach her to go up to a towel. We always make them sit on the towel, and then we check their feet. We check in between the pads, between their toes, so they're not picking up little ice balls, little things that could potentially irritate their pads or even cut them. Some of the ice balls, if your dog has a thicker coat, like a husky or a shepherd or a collie, that extra hair could pick up some snow and ice, and then that could lead to cutting the dog's toes.
Worse than a sticker, probably, I would imagine, with that ice
Yep.
and everything. So these are some great tips, things to remember. And of course, if you're interested, if your dog maybe needs some help with behavioral issues, you guys can handle that over at
That's
Sit, Meet, and
right.
Sit. Thank you so much, Jim Closson.
Thank you,
Ava, thank
Spencer.
you as well. I got a treat for you. I knew you'd want to. Good girl. Good girl. All right, more coming up in a couple weeks from Sit, Meet, and
That's
Sit.
right.
And right now, 7:19.